Right.
All right. Now let's talk about why you're here to make a big announcement, which I think will be very exciting to a lot of people who do use the trains.
Well, we're announcing today the money that came back to us from Florida, that was refused from Florida, is going to be spread around the country. But most importantly, it's going to be used here in the Northeast Corridor to fix up tracks and to get to higher speeds in the Northeast Corridor, which members of Congress have been asking us about. We've already put $11 billion out over the last 2.5 years. This $2 billion will actually go to fix up infrastructure and buy new equipment. And it's a great announcement. It will really deliver people in a much quicker way, and it'll be done pretty quickly. I mean, we're not talking about 10 years. We're talking about over the next few years, we're going to get people on trains that are safe, convenient, and will go a little bit faster.
So you're talking Boston, New York,
that's correct,
down to Washington.
That's correct.
High speed. What does that mean exactly? How fast can we expect to go?
150, 160 miles an hour.
And Acela goes what right now?
125, 130.
Okay.
A little higher in some places, but average, that's about it. But it's also going to make investments in upstate New York. We're going to take and make investments all the way to the state capital, over to Buffalo, Rochester, and our goal is to go to all the way to the Canadian border, so that people really do have the access. And then all the way south, all the way to the Carolinas. We just signed agreements with our freight rail friends in North Carolina, so people are really going to have good access to very convenient and trains that they can afford.
Barnacle, you and I have said it. If you can ride a train, you do it, because you don't have to go through the security and all that. It's just a question of them being a little quicker than they are now.
And that leads to the stupid question of the day, as Willie indicates, Mr. Secretary. If you take the train, you can just sense a clamor among people who say, you know, if the trains were a little faster, I wouldn't take the U.S. Air Shuttle. I'd prefer taking the train. Why has this taken so long?
Because no president before ever wanted to make the investment. We got $8 billion in the stimulus bill. We've put that money out. We allowed Amtrak to compete for this money. We're giving some of the money to Amtrak this round. It's because of the president and vice president's vision. No other administration has ever made these kinds of investments. $11 billion so far, $2 billion today. The president's got $50 billion in his budget for 2012. It's because, really, of President Obama's vision.
So physically, what is this money going to do?
It's going to fix up tracks. Yeah, it's going to new rails, fix up tracks so we can get to higher speeds, and also buy some new equipment, some new cars and more comfortable cars, and not only on the Northeast, but also in the Midwest and in California, where we've made some big investments.
Mr. Secretary, I'm a constant rider of the train, and for much of the last decade, I have ridden next to Senator Biden. So, I mean, clearly he understands this.
Right.
How much is driven by the fact that the vice president understands that this is a broken system that we don't want to take? I have been on that train with him when it's actually just stopped, and it stopped because of track problems. So, I mean, he has firsthand experience that this thing ain't working.
Look, over the last 2 years, this administration, because of the president and vice president's vision, have put $11 billion investment. That's 11 billion times more that's ever been put into high-speed rail. And the president's got $50 billion in his transportation budget that he sent up to Congress. The president gets it. The vice president gets it. This is what Americans want. People are tired of congestion. They're tired of the congestion on I-95. They want good transportation and good alternatives. And with gas prices going up, people are going to be looking at trains.
You're a former member of Congress,
right.
Republican. You're serving in Democratic administration. You mentioned Florida rejected money. Other Republican governor in Wisconsin, Scott Walker, rejected the money. What is going on with the Republican Party? Their willingness to buy into the notion that federal dollars should be spent improving our rail system.
One of the happiest days of my life is today, because when I leave here after the press conference today, I'm going to Michigan. Michigan has a Republican governor. Governor Snyder and I are going to stand up and say that the state of Michigan, under a Republican governor, will accept money for the line between Detroit and Chicago. What a great connection. It'll fix up the tracks, it'll get people there at higher speeds, and it will put Michigan in the high-speed rail
What
business.
about the Republicans? What about the Republicans who don't see it your way? What do they see differently about the world?
Well, look, I'm very happy that 40 places in the country have accepted money, including Governor Schwarzenegger when he was governor of California. They got the largest amount of money. And so there have been plenty of places around the country that have accepted the money. But today is really an important day, because we're fixing up tracks, we're getting to higher speeds, we're buying equipment, and we have a Republican governor in Michigan that's going to accept the money. That's very good news.
CSX when you started. CSX had the right of way in Florida. You never spoke to them. You never spoke to Michael Ward. He's told me that many times. You just came in and blasted your way in without ever speaking to the guys who had the right of way. So you never got their buy-in.
Well, look, the reason that Florida didn't accept the money was not because of not because of the freight rail system. That had nothing to do with it.
It was their right of way.
There's only one way.
It
Look,
was.
Jim,
Mr.
there's
Ward
only
said it on
one
my
person
show.
in Florida that didn't want high-speed rail. There's only one. There are thousands of people that have been working on high-speed rail in Florida for 20 years, and they are deeply disappointed that one guy decided they weren't going to accept the second largest amount of money. They had a good plan from Orlando to Tampa and Orlando to Miami. We would have worked it out with our friends in the freight rail. This is one guy only, and eventually Florida will get in the high-speed rail business.
We'd rather have the money up here in the north.
You bet.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. They did not show
You're
the
getting
inclination, and we need it badly.
$1 so Goofy can go to the beach quicker? No, we don't want that.
You're getting the money.
That's great. It's Florida there, Mike. Let me read you a headline from less than a month ago. U.S. high-speed rail program hit by deep budget cuts. Some reports said high-speed rail lost as much as $1.5 billion in this budget. So how do we square this, what you're bringing to us now? Where's that money coming from after we lost all that money?
Well, look, again, the president, vice president, this administration, $11 billion over the last 2.5 years, another $2 billion today. The president's got $50 billion in his budget. We all had to give it the office during these budget negotiations, and so there were some people in Congress who said, give up the high-speed rail money, and we gave it the office. That will not dissuade us from our pursuit of putting high-speed rail in America, putting people on trains. This is what Americans want. It's not just Ray LaHood or Barack Obama or Joe Biden. It's what Americans want. It's what you've all been talking about. You love getting on trains, particularly when you can afford it. Particularly when it's comfortable and it gets you there on time. And Amtrak has had a very good record for the last year. They're making money, their trains are on time, they're comfortable, and people can afford them.
Got to uptick the security a little, though, don't you think? I mean,
well, we're going to look at that. We are. We're going to look at the information that came from bin Laden's house, and we'll work with Congress on this. We will. Look, safety is our #1 priority at DOT. We want to make sure all forms of transportation are safe.
And enforcing quiet in the quiet car.
Oh, yes.
All right. Am I in charge of that, too?
Make that #2.
That's under your purview.
Okay. All right. I'll be the quiet man.
Well, this is great news. We're excited. We just hope you see it through. And when can people expect this to actually happen? When will the ride from New York to D.C. be 2 hours?
Within 3 to 5 years.
Really?
Absolutely.
3 to 5 years.
Absolutely. These investments are going to really come about very quickly.
All right, we're going to hold you to that. Secretary Ray LaHood, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good luck
Thank you,
with
guys.
this.
Appreciate
it's
it.
Good news. Coming up, he calls her Woman of the World. In a new article, Vanity Fair's Jonathan Alter explains what he calls the transfer of Secretary Hillary Clinton. And next, officials in Memphis, Tennessee go door to door with evacuation notices as floodwaters continue to rise along the Mississippi River. We'll have the latest on those floods when we come back.